This is TWiT.
Google took its time, but it finally brought its AI-fueled portable camera, also known as Clips, to market, to release anyways. Its promise is that you can set it up and then capture your life in a raw sense that being positioned behind a smartphone like we're all used to can't achieve. Let's put that promise to the test. Joining us to give us his take on the Clips camera is Geoffrey Fowler from the Washington Post. Welcome back, Geoffrey.
Hi, thanks for having me.
It's great to have you. So you've had around 2 weeks now with the device. Tell us a little bit about some of the scenarios that you've pointed the Clips camera at during your time with it.
Sure. Well, when Google handed these out, and here it is, when Google handed these out to tech journalists, they went out of their ways to emphasize what this would work with and what it would not. So they said, don't clip this to your clothes to wear it around town. It's not going to, the AI won't really recognize what's going on and the camera's a little too shaky. They said they really did train it, however, for children and for pets. So I focused on those two particular areas. So I took it to kiddie playtime with a bunch of 1- and 2-year-olds to see how it responded. And then I took it to a cat cafe because if the whole premise here is that this thing is supposed to be so good that it can replace that need in your life to get your smartphone out to capture it. What is the cutest possible place on earth I could go to see if I could resist getting my phone out? And that was a Kitty Cafe in San Francisco, America's first cat cafe, I learned.
That's awesome.
I have so many questions about the San Francisco cat cafe, but that's not really our topic, so I'll have to ask you that some other time. But what was really interesting was that you took it to, when you took it to the preschool, and you made a good point. I think a lot of people have been talking about racist algorithms, like, you know, there's like an algorithmic justice league fighting to the fact that, like, if you're a black woman, you're not going to be recognized in a lot of these, you know, these algorithms, these facial recognition algorithms, because they've just been tested on white men. So what did you find with how's the Google Clips camera doing on that end?
Yeah. Is Google Clips racist? Is like one of the first questions that came to mind. This product raises a ton of questions, and this is just one of them, but one we should definitely talk about. So yeah, I tried it around Asian kids. I tried it around white kids. I tried it around black kids. And I couldn't discern a difference in terms of how it responded to them. Obviously, you'd need a lot more testing over time, lots of different kids, but it seemed just as interested in the African-American kid as it did in the little white girl he was playing with. So there you go. Google did say that they learned their lesson from that episode of a couple of years ago, and they now put inclusion and diversity. They have whole teams at Google that try to bring that into their AI development. So in this case, it seems like they did a good job.
Now, at the heart of this camera is obviously it's the AI, and what is the AI doing? It's determining the important things to shoot. It's deciding that, oh, you know, this particular moment in time is more interesting than the others, so I'm going to go ahead and record 7 seconds of video around that. Like when you looked at the footage afterwards, did it do a good job? Did you look at these things and be like, wow, I'm really happy the Clips captured that moment?
Yes and no. I would give it about a 50%. You know, look, when you're at a cat cafe, there are a lot of cute moments, right? And there were plenty in there that I was hoping it caught that it did not, but then also some that it did. I mean, the way AI works now, and this is sort of, you can really see it in this product, is it's less about finding that needle in the haystack, because it's just not good enough to do that yet. But what it is good at is sort of like taking some of the hay out of the stack so that you can at least then maybe kind of go through some of the things you might be interested in. I mean, I'm also someone who's tested lots of GoPros before, and I've taken GoPros, you know, and shot, you know, hours and hours and hours worth of footage. And, you know, then who's going to look at all of that? Who's going to go through all of it? And so that was really kind of the core problem that Google was trying to address. And I think they've got some interesting answers to it. Whether you want to buy this thing right now, though, that's another question.
Yeah, I definitely have so much GoPro footage that I will never do anything with it. And yeah, and I love that you called this like a GoPro with a mind of its own. And it made me think that, you know, we give up a lot. Like I put all my photos on Google Photos and they do amazing things with it. And whatever else they might be doing with it, it seems worth it for the trade-off. And so that's the idea here, right? Like they're not necessarily doing anything with all this video they're constantly capturing of your children and your cats. But do you think it's worth the trade-off right now?
So what's super interesting about this product is it's the least googly product in certain ways that I've ever seen. So this device does not connect to the internet. The artificial intelligence and the machine learning that it's using don't happen in the cloud. They're all on the device. In many ways, it's kind of like an Apple product, right? Because Apple has that sort of philosophy on privacy that they want to do as much as possible on the device itself. Well, Google did that here, and they said, because listen, they're aware that people are kind of freaked out by the idea of a Google camera that's always watching and deciding and judging. So if you want, you can use this product and benefit from its AI, but have your data, your video of your life, never touch Google's servers, never touch Google's cloud. The only way it actually gets off the device and into your phone or whatever service you want to use is if you use the app and you offload it through the app and then choose to put it in Google Photos. But you could decide to not do that. You could just put it into Apple Photos if you wanted, or just save it locally on your local computer.
Can you view the camera from that app while it's live and powered, or is it all just pre-recorded stuff that you're able to offload at that point?
Sure, yeah. It does have a live preview that you can use, which is, you would think, sort of useful, but ultimately this thing is about only really useful if you're letting it decide what to take pictures of. Otherwise, you might as just use your phone, because you're probably going to get better quality, you're going to get sound, you're going to get more control anyway. So if you're going to use this kind of product, you really have to just kind of let it go. That's why I came away from this really thinking Google Clips isn't something that I feel like many people are going to go out and buy right now. However, in the next 3, 4, 5 years, I think we're going to see a lot more cameras out there that have, let's call an AI mode on it. That just it's a setting. It's a feature that you can use to let it make some choices. So in case you are in a situation where, you just want to play with the kids, you don't want to shoot the kids. So just put it on the ground and let's see what it can do.
Yeah, it really does feel like a lot of money for a very specific use case. Sorry, what were you going to say?
I know. I mean, I do think that you're right about the AI, though, because, we're already seeing that in Google Photos, and we're seeing it, in, so many. I have a, Hipstamatic, which is not a new app, but it's an old app, and it just knows which filter to put on my pictures, and I don't have to think about it. And I like the idea that it would just know what to see and what not to see. Do you think that Google is also going to be using this do they use the same AI for a security camera type device?
That's definitely where I think this is all heading. So already we have, Google owns Nest, and Nest is kind of being brought back into the Google hardware fold. We see their Nest Cam has the ability to identify people. There are already startups out there. There's one I've been running in our San Francisco bureau for the Post called Lighthouse, which uses some slightly more sophisticated sensors and cameras, and also AI, to not just sort of let you peek in on what's going on at home, but actually identify faces and let you know, for example, if your kids don't come home by a certain time, it uses artificial intelligence to reach out to you proactively and say, hey, this didn't happen today, you might want to know about that. And that's definitely where this is all headed. And I think this is an exciting and interesting moment to be at in consumer tech as we see all these ways for AI to get sort of brought into the products that we use to actually make them smarter, as opposed to, for the last couple of years, we called a lot of things smart that weren't actually that smart.
Yeah. I should mention real quick, Lighthouse as well as Ring, actually both sponsors on this network. I guess the final take on this, you spent 2 weeks with it, $250 worth it for you for what it gives you, or would you pass on a personal level?
On a personal level, I'm going to pass. Look, I love playing with new gadgets, but actually what this made me want is actually just to go out and buy a GoPro Hero 6, because it reminded me of the great fun that you can have by putting cameras in unexpected angles, putting them in kids' hands. I would love if the GoPro Hero 7 had some of these capabilities built into it, and I'm excited to see that. I think that's the direction that we're headed with cameras.
It really seems so. Geoffrey Fowler, it's great to talk with you again. Thank you so much for joining us today to talk about the Clips camera. We appreciate it.